know, this thing's just like flying around, like shooting things at 22 range. I was just like, what? Because that's like, you know, that's something that you would say as a joke, right? So, you know, in my tirades about why siege tanks aren't balanced, you know, I'll be like, oh, you know, Protoss should get something that shoots halfway across the map that like doesn't even need siege mode, and then Dustin Browder goes and actually freaking puts it in the game. I'm just like, whoa there. I mean, you know, I hate siege tanks as much as the next guy. I mean, I'm a Protoss player, but even I'm a little bit suspicious of that. I'm like a little bit nervous. And especially considering Heart of the Swarm is supposed to be like the Zerg expansion. So if that's the Zerg expansion and we're getting a 22 range unit, what are we actually going to get in Heart of the or in Legacy of the Void? I'm like super pumped now to be Protoss. I'm like, yes, I will never actually lose a game in Legacy of the Void. It's going to be awesome. Hey, speaking of Protoss, first we're going to watch a PvP here in Brood War. It's going to be Harangi versus Mini. Harangi, the PvP master, versus Mini, the, spoiler alert, the guy who recently advanced from his group, or from his tiebreakers group in the OSL. He won the Battle of the Royal Rotors in spectacular fashion. I highly recommend you go watch Mini versus Rush on Ground Zero from the tiebreakers. Please go and watch that. Please, just do it. Trust me on this one. It'll be awesome. Anyway, looks like we're gonna have a cross-map PvP here on Ground Zero. But of course, we are all much more excited to talk about the Heart of the Swarm units, or rather just the Tempest. Rather just the fact that something has 22 range in StarCraft just kind of boggles my mind. Could you imagine if we had a 22 range unit in Brood War? It'd be like 2 screens over. God, somebody should import the Tempest into Brood War. Just make one of those rigged Last Shadow maps, stick the Tempest in there. Oh man, I'll be rushing Stargate every game, man. It'll be like the new version of the stove. You just make a Tempest and it's suddenly the best build ever. Oh yeah. Yeah, what's up, dude? What's up? Wow, he's actually an STX fan. Those guys are a rare breed. Somebody should actually like take a sample, put him in a museum or something. Put that guy in a zoo. Quick. He's like an exotic animal. There's like no STX fans, guys. Seriously, there's like Mustaju, and like that's it. Does anybody know anybody who likes STX besides Mustaju? I'm not really sure. I can't think of anybody. Anyway, that is a complicated sign. Too long didn't read, dude. Too long didn't read. BR likes STX. Wow, I didn't know that. Huh. Go figure. I think those are STX fans actually. STX is fangirls. What? What? Okay, those should definitely be in a museum or zoo. And by zoo I mean like send them to my place, please. Anyway, so we're gonna just have some standard gateway gas going on. Gas is a touch later for Harangi, it looks like. That's not a big deal. Let me actually put the clock positions in my overlay, lest it become confusing. If not for the viewer, then for myself. Alright, sweet. Oh, I also need to change the score. God damn, this streaming thing is hard, I gotta tell you. This is some complicated stuff here. Anyway, I didn't look at the records earlier on, but Harangi wasn't performing that well last season, and I don't think he's played that many games this season either, has he? Not really sure. It looks like Cybernetics scored first for Harangi, whereas second pylon first for... Or sorry, it was the other way around. Cybernetics scored first for Mini, second pylon first for Harangi, which means that he's gone for Zealot before Cybernetics scored. So he's going to go Zealot, Core Zealot, which is a standard safe thing to do. It does make you safe against any kind of weird 2-gate openings from your opponents. It also lets you block off your ramp, so if he doesn't get a scout in early, then you can deny the probe scout. But I do prefer the faster cybernetics for myself on a 4-player map with a narrow ramp like this. There's a very low chance that your opponent is going for a 2-gate build. So really the only reason to get the fast zealot is like for scout denial, and even then you're not guaranteed to block a probe scout if he goes in early enough or he gets lucky with the scouting direction. So I don't know. I think it's nicer to have the faster tech. Of course, you know, as I said, that is map dependent. And it looks like he's going to get a second zealot out, so he will be able to block that ramp pretty easily. One's on the other side blocking Mini's ramp. But neither player has actually probe scouted. Neither player has scouted at all. Just chilling. That makes me feel like they're both going to do some very safe build, like 2-gate obs or something like that, so you don't really need to scout that early, or at all even, because your build is kind of the same no matter what your opponent does. You just go 2-gate and observers and make dragoons, and then, like, I don't know. And then you can do varying follow-ups, but even the follow-ups don't really depend too much on what your opponent does. Like, you can just go straight for reavers and make slow reavers and expand, and it's generally quite safe against anything. So I think it's completely fine. Interestingly, one Dragoon might actually intercept this guy. Both players actually just scouting with their initial Dragoons, and oh, so we're gonna have a Dragoon high 5 here. Interestingly, Harangi also brought his 2 Zealots down below the ramp. They're kind of chilling outside of his natural here, whereas Mini seems to have just left his 1 Zealot on his ramp to continue denying any scouts. And I do like what Mini is doing, rather than what Harangi's doing. Looks like Mini actually sent both of his Dragoons to the top left. Doesn't see anything there, so now he's like, oh, okay, I guess we're cross map. Meanwhile, he's actually on for 3-gate obs here. And Harangi's actually done the exact same thing. Very interesting stuff. 3-gate obs, of course, pretty safe. It's like same as 2-gate obs, except you get 1 more gateway. Oh, it is going to be observer first, I'm pretty sure. Going for the reaver first in this situation would be a little bit iffy. You would just die to DTs, basically. Now, it's curious that both players are deciding to go for 3-gate obs. 3-gate obs, I think, is favorable on maps that are like flat, like Electric Circuit, or have reverse ramps, possibly, although not as much. But on a map like Ground Zero, where even the natural isn't that wide open, I'm fairly certain you can get away with a 2-gate obs into Reaver expand. But you know, 3-gate obs is obviously safer. And I guess if your opponent plays a little bit greedy, like tries to do any kind of 1-gate robo expand build, you can kind of punish him for that. But it's an interesting choice from both players. I mean, they're both doing it, so it's got to have some validity here. So yeah, let's see what happens. In the meantime, looks like we're gonna have a bit of an engagement here in the middle. Looks like, you know, Harangi has that 1 extra Zealot, but really Zealots at this stage in the game don't really matter that much. It really comes down to the Dragoon count, and here we go! Dragoon on Dragoon Micro. Looks like Mini immediately loses 1 Dragoon, just in full retreat here. Might even lose a second one for free. Oh man, this is not good for Mini. He had like enough units to actually the unit count at the beginning of the battle was, I'm pretty sure, basically equal for both players. Just Mini was a little bit out of position, kind of running across the middle of the map. Harangi grouped his units a little bit more carefully and managed to basically get a free kill there. I don't think he got a second Dragoon, but that is really nice for Harangi. Now he can expand safely, and look at this, Mini not able to put his Nexus down yet, even though they basically did the same build. He's actually going for his shuttle first, so he might actually be going for some more aggressive Reaver play here. I'm fairly certain Harangi's support is also up, and he'll just be skipping shuttle and making slow Reavers. That's a very standard play. He's going to walk those Reavers out to his natural, perhaps make a shield battery if he feels threatened to help charge the shields on the Reaver, keep it alive a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Mini is indeed going for some aggression here, and the support is actually not done for Harangi, so he might not actually have a Reaver in time for this attack. But, oh, okay, no, that's the initial shuttle. I think he just went back to pick up a Reaver. Man, I was gonna say, like, did he make a second shuttle? That would be so bizarre if he just made 2 shuttles by mistake. Oh man, that'd be the most random pro gamer mistake I think I've ever seen. But no, he did not do anything silly like that. Now, the issue is the observer of Harangi sees everything that's going on. He saw the Reaver getting picked up and moving across. He actually went for a shuttle first here, which is an interesting choice for Harangi. I think slightly risky, but I think it will be okay here. It's going to be very, very close. And the thing is, though, if the Reaver does pop out in time, having that shuttle of your own is immensely useful, because, you know, shuttle Reaver against non-shuttle Reaver is not even close in the hands of most pro gamers. Of course, if you're someone like Lizzie, it doesn't actually matter if you have a shuttle, because you just are bad. But you know, for players of this caliber, that is quite helpful. But it looks like the Reaver of Harangi is actually not out yet, and Mini's just going in here. Oh man, this could be the perfect timing for Mini. Harangi's actually in quite a bit of trouble now. Oh man, he's losing most of his Dragoons. Even though his Reaver does get out here, he's lost all the supporting Dragoons. Well, a lot of them anyway. But oh man, his Reaver is getting some huge shots off. He's got to be careful not to load it up, or the shuttle will die. It looks like, oh, he saves his Reaver from the sky shot. Actually, I was wrong, and it looks like Harangi who looked like he was in big trouble there, actually manages to hold off with some good control, good decision making, but he's got to be really careful with this Reaver. He's got to not lose that Reaver. No, the shuttle! No, the shuttle goes down. The Reaver, I think, will go down as well. The Reaver also goes down, but it looks like Mini's Reaver is going to go down as well, and Mini, of course, has to send in his reinforcements cross-map here. He has such a long reinforcement route, whereas Harangi, with a defender's advantage here, is going to be okay, but he's going to lose a couple of probes. He's actually going to pull his probes to fight here, but it is going to be enough. He's actually made a second observer. I have no idea why Harangi has 2 observers right now. That is completely not useful. He is going to... Oh, no, it looks like he actually got lost one, so I guess it turned out to be useful after all, but that's just because he made a mistake. And it looks like, man, Mini is continuing the aggression. The Reaver has no supporting units. He needs some Dragoons to help him out. Mini's doing some decent spreading on his Dragoons. It looks like he does snipe the Reaver, but Harangi's Dragoons come out as well. But that was a really nice snipe for Mini. Unfortunately, I think that does mean that's the end of this attack. Oh, man, just getting that Reaver and pulling out, that is correct. But unfortunately, look at this. He's got no natural, though. He has no expansion, whereas Harangi's natural is still up. Harangi, he lost a couple of probes, but he's gonna be making them out of 2 nexuses. He's gonna be making them double time. And Mini, now that this attack has failed, I'm not actually sure what he can do now. Harangi can add an extra gateway, so his Dragoon production is gonna be ahead. I think Mini just might have to wait for a second Reaver here and just go for another, just basically go for an all-in again. Because and he's got to make it happen quick here because you know, Harangi's mining happily off these 2 bases, and if he gets another defensive Reaver out, he's going to be golden. He's even got 3 Zealots out to buffer. That's a very interesting choice. Now, I said earlier in the game, Zealots in the early/mid game PvP generally not so useful. Reavers are pretty good against them, and Dragoons can just do their dancing micro. But they do tank a lot of damage, though. Zealots do tank damage better than Dragoons do. Because of damage types, Dragoons do reduce damage to Zealots, but it looks like we are going to have another big engagement here. 1 Reaver of Harangi coming out here. He does have a superior ground force, and those Zealots actually doing an amazing job tanking. And I think this is going to be the end for Mini here, unless he has some godlike Reaver micro, and even then it's going to be really tough. And it looks like we're just going to have a good old buffer, possibly into GG. My favorite kind of GG. My favorite kind of buffer. Or not, I don't know. Anyway, it looks like slow Reaver or ground Reaver against ground Reaver. No shuttles for either player, but it looks like some little dancing micro here. Ooh! Nice shot, and actually, that Mini's Reaver escapes with like no HP. But, oh, looks like speed is actually done now for Harangi's shuttles. He's got another Reaver up. He's got no shuttles to bring into the front, so that guy's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. And Harangi has actually decided that he has enough to defend. He's going to go counterattack. I cannot believe it. Mini actually saw the shuttle going out with his observer, so he tried to intercept. Unfortunately, he didn't quite catch it. That speed shuttle is quite speedy, but I am so surprised by this. I cannot believe Harangi feels like he can actually attack in this situation. I think he might have, I think he might actually think that Mini has expanded. That's why he's doing this. Because if he knew that Mini didn't take his natural yet, I highly doubt he'd be doing this kind of attack. I mean, even though he has the speed on his shuttle, it's just like, he has absolutely no need to attack right now, because there's no expansion for Mini. He just needs to not die for like the next 2 minutes, and he'll be in a, you know, perfect situation. Meanwhile, Mini looks like he's trying to intercept the shuttle once again, but Harangi sees it with his own Dragoons, so he's gonna be a little bit careful now. And oh, yeah, not gonna happen. It is like near impossible to snipe a speed shuttle, even if you have really good predictions, just because of how good pro gamer reaction time is. Even if you position your goons perfectly, you know, the other guy can just see it with his shuttle and be like, oh, I guess I better go the other way. This is really, really hard. It looks like we might have an engagement here in the middle of the map. Oh, Reaver on Reaver action. Oh! Looks like he saves the Reaver from the shot. And whoa! Oh man, that shuttle taking some hull damage, but Harangi, oh, loses his own shuttle. Harangi with a bit of a mistake there, losing his speed shuttle, so now his Reaver is going to have to crawl its way across the map. Looks like Harangi decides that's a good time to back up, but Harangi now at 60 supply against the 44 supply Mini. He's in a pretty dominant position. He's getting his 5th gateway up against the 3 gateways of Mini. I think Mini's timing is basically gone here. He no longer has a, you know, the unit advantage from not having invested in a Nexus, so he's, you know, he's out economied, out macroed, out everything right here. The only advantage he has right now is that he has an observer over Harangi's army, and Harangi has actually not made another observer. I'm a little bit surprised because Harangi, as we saw earlier, had 2 observers, and yet somehow he lost both of them, and Mini still has his, so I think it's a bit of a mistake from Harangi, honestly. I was already surprised that he made a second observer. You don't want to be doing that with your robo at this point in the game, but looks like it doesn't really matter anyway. And we might have the final engagement here. The shuttle of Mini going down, but he does have 2 Reavers. He does drop them both in time. And now we're going to keep going in the battle. I feel like I should just freeze my commentating when that happens. And, oh, nice save there by Harangi. Nice pickup with the speed shuttle. He needs to drop it again, though. He needs to get some more Scarabs off. And, oh man, Mini, even though he's got these 2 Reavers alive, is losing all the supporting units. Reavers by themselves are actually not that amazing. If you just do some nice Dragoon spread, you can take them down quite easily. Oh man, he might actually just micro these down. Oh no! Oh god, that Reaver shot. I mean, there's really nothing Mini can do about that though, because with the shuttle there, it's just like, you know, as long it's basically if Harangi doesn't mess up, you just can't do anything with 2 ground slow Reavers, ground Reavers. I don't know what to call those. Reavers without a shuttle? I need to make up a term for like a Reaver that doesn't have a shuttle. I don't know, a poor orphan Reaver. Maybe I'll call them like orphan Reavers. Poor little Reavers that have been abandoned by their shuttles. Anyway, I mean, Harangi's at 58 supply now against a 35 supply of Mini. It's just a insurmountable lead here. It's like probes freaking out on the gateways. You know, that's one interesting thing, by the way, if you saw there. One of the downsides of having great gateway placement, great building placement, is that for some reason probes get stuck a lot more easily on them. Like in my ladder games, I experience this quite a bit actually, because I love, you know, copying Harangi's beautiful gateway placement. But then it's like you try and transfer your probes to your natural, and it's like they just won't go. I actually just lost a game like that once on Sniper Ridge, because my probes literally got stuck in an infinite loop in my gateways and couldn't go to my natural. I was just like, wow, this is actually a terrible way to lose the game. Anyway, Mini trying to expand from behind here, but I mean, he's completely dead. Harangi gonna be fancy with his shuttle and Reaver. Honestly, even if he gets that sniped, he still won the game. Looks like he's gonna lose actually another observer here. I think that's actually his 3rd observer loss of the game, and Mini has not lost an observer here, so you know, Mini at least winning the battle of observers, which doesn't really mean anything, I guess. But you know, whatever. It's something. Anyway. Oh, is he going? Is he going? Man, I swear, if Mini comes back in this game, he'll be like the sickest comeback of all time. But he won't. Although Harangi is being remarkably indecisive in the middle of the map. Harangi's actually decided to retreat here. You know, the best thing to do when you're 40 supply ahead is to just run away. Because, you know, I mean, he could win, right? Maybe. Harangi, what are you doing, man? Let's go kill him. Let's go kill him, dude. I don't know. Look at Harangi, like, scouting all the expos on the map. Harangi's actually playing this so scared. And I mean, and by scared, I mean he's playing it safely. But I think he's playing this a little bit too safely. Seriously, dude, like, it's fine, man. And you see, my problem also with this is if he's too passive, and like let's say, okay, so I'm glad that he's scouting all the hidden expos, right? But let's say Mini did get a hidden expo and it wasn't scouted, and then he just turtles up in his natural, right? And Harangi doesn't attack him, and so Mini actually, his economy's fine, and then Mini does like some good Reaper harass, kills 20 probes. He could, in theory, actually come back. Like, if you're being too passive, you're giving the other guy like the opportunity. Like this, as Mini, if I was Mini right now, I'd be like, this is awesome, this is perfect. I'm under no pressure whatsoever. I can maybe skimp on units a bit, take a little bit of risk, maybe try and do some fancy, you know, DT drop or something. Because if I'm not feeling any pressure, then, you know, I can start taking my own risks to come back in the game. But if Harangi's constantly attacking me, then what am I going to do, you know? I have to just make units and not die, and then eventually he's going to wear me down because he's got more gateways. But it looks like Harangi just wants to go for some fancy harassment here, and this is, I don't know, this is kind of weird. I mean, Day 9 even made a podcast about this. I think it's called, like, How to Win with an Advantage or something. It's one of his old school podcasts. But hold that thought, we're going to have a Reaver dropped in here, and he's just going to take a Reaver shot. What? You see what I'm saying? This is not the correct decision from Harangi to harass. I mean, Reaver harassment is fun and all, but like, let's say he loses this Reaver, right? I mean, he gets 2 probes there, but he just lost a shuttle and Reaver for no probes. You see, Day 9 says, when you're ahead, you do not go for risky harassment. You do not do this kind of thing, because you don't need to. You're already ahead. You do harassment when you want to get a lead, right? Or you're behind and you want to take a risk and come back in the game. Like, Mini doing this, I'm absolutely fine with it. He's going to drop 2 Reavers here. He's going to get maybe a bunch of probe kills. He's actually just going to go after these Dragoons. Oh no! Oh, he might lose the shuttle. No, Mini! Mini! What have you done? No, my God! He got like a probe. Oh, Mini. Mini, that was not correct. Mini, you should have shot the probes and ran away. Oh, Mini, you're doing it wrong. But, you know, okay, so if that harassment had worked, Mini might have come back in the game. He probably wouldn't anyway, because there's already like speed loss and Archons out for Harangi. The unit composition is actually too much in Harangi's favor now. But, you know, he didn't listen to Day 9, and that upsets me greatly. I mean, honestly, how can you call yourself a pro gamer when you don't listen to what Day 9 says? Seriously. Hey, he's gonna build a shield battery here to not die. He's gonna snipe the shuttle immediately here. Harangi actually making a bit of a mistake here. His Reaver is leading the charge, but he's just got so many units it doesn't actually matter. As we can see, just brute forcing his way into the natural here. Shield battery not gonna do nearly enough. And Mini GG's out. Harangi showing that he can still win some games occasionally. Just kidding, we love you, Tiger Toss. And he is going to force it to a game 3 here. Score is tied at 1-1 for this Brood War best of 3. Who's going to come out in the deciding game?
그런 완성미 넘치는 그런 경기 또 자신의 스타일을 고수하는 이런 모습도 좋습니다.
그렇습니다. 진짜 스타 1을 내주면은 스타 2 상당히 불안해지거든요. CG 입장에서 스타 1은 전반전을 반드시 가져가야 됩니다.
그렇습니다. 게다가 STX 소울 팀이 상대적으로 이제 스타 2에서의 성적이 좋은 팀이기 때문에 스타 1은 좀 무난하게